What do you mean my mom's dead? Yo, what's up? It's Someone That's Someone, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report was sent in by Leo D. When this happened, 2019, the substances used, LSD, cannabis, and alcohol, at a dose of 2.5 tabs, the route of administration, orally, gender, male, weight, 13 stone, age, 23, for his height, 5'9", for his prior experience, cocaine, cannabis, MDMA, mushrooms, LSD, and synthetics, and the setting, university halls. Alright, so another acid trip, one you could say that turned sour. Leo introduces his friends here to acid, and they plan to have a good night together, tripping. Leo and his buddy Rob both had a good amount of experience before this, and thought it would be a good idea to try and share some of the good vibes. But this day, things just don't go in their favor. They attempt to have a dorm party, but it fails pretty badly, and this kinda sets the tone for things, especially what comes after. Basically, it's a situation Leo's never had to handle before. It can be hard enough to guide someone's trip sober, let alone their first trip, and being able to do it while tripping yourself. Thankfully, he was able to call his friend Rob up, and he helped smooth things out. There's a lot of lessons learned here, but the biggest one is probably setting yourself up appropriately. With better mental preparation and a better setting, this could have gone a lot better. You'll just see. But I'm sure you'll enjoy this report, so without further ado, let's dive right into this. Okay, so here's a report with some weird time on acid. I'll preface this report by saying at the time, I just recently discovered acid, and had been taking it every weekend for a few months, and had always had really good trips. A little bit of come-up anxiety, but that was it. Me and my best mate Rob would frequently take 2 hits, and we would play horror games like Resident Evil, and Here They Lie on the VR headset. So we never even thought you could have a bad trip. That is until we realized what a bad trip really felt like. I was blissfully unaware, and now I can no longer take acid without falling into a pit of despair, and I've had to leave it behind. I'll be sending through a few reports. Here's the first. Enjoy. What do you mean my mom's dead? Now, like I mentioned, I was taking acid quite regularly with my friend Rob, and we slowly upped the dosage from half a tab to 2 thick tabs. We weren't sure what the actual dosage was because it varied from tab to tab, but we got a few sheets of some tabs called double-sided lasers. We had 2 of these no problem plenty of times and had great trips. Also, I had a few of my friends from a different circle ask what acid was like, etc. So I went to stay at my old university dorm in Salford to see my friend Rye, and invited another friend Jay and my younger cousin Gio, who was 19 at the time. I explained to them about acid and that I loved it. But little did I know, I was being so naive, bigging up acid to them, like nothing could go wrong. And, oh boy did it. So I give them all a half a tab each, and say we'll wait for an hour and see how you feel. After an hour had passed, my cousin Gio mentioned he couldn't feel or see anything. I mentioned it would probably be subtle at first, and you'll see the details in the table begin to wobble. He said he felt fine, and so did Rye and Jay. I foolishly gave them all another half and took half for myself. So I had 2.5 and they all had 1. Now my friend Rye tried to throw a party at his flat, and it failed miserably and no one arrived. So Jay and Gio started smoking lots of weed, and I continued to drink booze with Rye, who, in my trippy state, I felt sorry for because he was clutching on a university life and he just couldn't let go. The party being a dud and no one turning up was like a reflection of his fading times at university. Everyone else had moved on, and he was just in the same place, clinging on to what was left. This was the acid talking, by the way, laughing crying emoji. Then out of nowhere, 5 of the nerdiest people you have ever seen in your entire life walk in and sit down. They were all sharing 1 can of beer, and it was like something out of a coming-of-age film. They had never played any drinking games, and I had a suspicion that this was their first time drinking. Some time passes, and I see Gio suddenly stand up in a hurry and lead to the hallway. I follow him out of the kitchen/diner and say, "What you doing, bro?" He replied that he didn't know and asked where he was in confusion. I told him to come sit back down, and he did. At this point, alarm bells are ringing. It's been about 2 hours, and I know he isn't peeking yet. So I get summoned in fucking defense mode. I need to protect him through this trip while stripping balls myself. I had to keep it cool. While I was keeping an eye on him, I don't let on to Ryan J that something's up, cause I don't want to fuck up their trips and have 3 first-timers on acid looking to me for guidance while I was still a beginner. I really don't think I could have handled that shit. Anyways, I see Gio stand up again in a rush, putting his jacket and his headphones on. He goes into the hallway and I follow him. I ask him how he was feeling, and he said to me, "Where am I, bro? What's happening?" I said, "Gio, chill. You're just on acid. There's nothing to worry about. You're with me. Everything will be fine." I suggested we go outside for some fresh air and a change of scenery to see if that would help him out, and he agreed. When we get to the flat door, it's a latch you turn that doesn't require a key, and my cousin just starts yanking and pulling in hysteria, saying, "We're trapped. This is it. We're stuck in here." I tell him calmly, "You just have to turn the latch." I turn the latch and, fuck, I can't open the door. I'm confused tripping balls, and my anxiety is through the roof. What if he's right? What if we are trapped? I snap myself out of that shit, quick time, and think on my feet. I say, "It's okay, we just need to find the key." I knew full well the door didn't require a key. I just knew if he saw that I couldn't open the door, he would have lost his mind and could have done something crazy. I eventually managed to kick the door open, breaking the latch that again only needed to be turned. But I was tripping so hard and was in such a panic I couldn't figure out how to open the door, and Gio was getting restless. This flat is on the first floor, and you take 1 flight of spiral stairs to get up, which is say 25 steps at most. I lead Gio to the stairs, and he says to me, "Leo, this isn't right. These stairs go on forever." This time, I could hear the dread in his voice rather than panic. And when we got to the bottom, I reassured him, "See, they didn't go on forever. It was just the acid, bro. Don't forget you take an acid. Everything will be fine." But he was beyond reassurance. We got outside. We're in a gated community, and Gio runs to the gate and suddenly stops. He looks at me and says he's going home. I say, "Gio, you're miles away from home. This is our home tonight." Now this is where it gets really scary. He turns around, grabs me by the shoulders, and says, "What do you mean my mom's dead?" At this point, I have no fucking clue what to say. I just chuckled and said, "Your mom is fine. You're just on acid, bro. Trying to keep him level." I knew above all else, if I freak out, it's over. He then collapses onto the floor, and I start to lose it. I don't know. Should I call him an ambulance? Should I pick him up? Just as I dialed 999, he jumped up and said, "I need to go back upstairs." So partially relieved, I follow him up. I lay him down on my friend's bed, and he just lays there, breathing super heavy, like hyperventilating. I'm really panicking, and think it's time for me to tell Jay I need some help. I run to get him, and he's already at the door, asking if I was okay, and I explain the situation. Considering it was his first time on acid, and he had this situation thrown on him, he handled it like a champ. As we get back into the room, Gio jumps up, tries to break the window open, and jump out. We pinned him down and managed to get him back on the bed. At this point, I thought he was suffering from sensory overload, so I turned the lights off and sat with him to make sure he was okay. For the next few hours, he wept and cried, screaming, "Help!" every 15 minutes or so. I was genuinely concerned he wasn't going to come out of the trip at this point, and I was scared, so I rang Rod to come. I needed someone I knew who had tripped before, and he was the only one. God bless him. He drove an hour 20 and 50 minutes to make sure I was okay. Gio had calmed down and came back around. I think his fucked up experience was down to smoking a shit ton of weed, drinking, and taking acid all at once for his first time. The major lessons from this is that acid is to be respected. You can add, but you can't take away. And don't forget, you're on psychedelics.